Hey, welcome to Sex. I'm Dr. Keely Dubois, and today we have an incredible guest with us and a conversation that will hit home for so many men over 45 or anyone questioning the conventional path laid out for us. Look, we know the stats. Nearly 1 in 3 people end up divorced. And by the time people hit their 40s, dissatisfaction with careers, marriages, and life itself skyrockets. It's a harsh reality, but it reflects something deeper. The American dream, as we knew it, just isn't cutting it anymore. Traditional ideas about career success, relationships, and even sexuality are being challenged left and right. And as an entrepreneur myself, for 20 years, so I'm someone who questions traditional ways of living, earning, and connecting, I relate. For those feeling like they're at a crossroads, craving more adventure, freedom, or just a fresh start, our guest, Robbie Shipman, is here to share his journey. Robbie took the leap many only dream about, leaving behind his life in the US after a divorce and a very successful career to find a new beginning in Thailand. But this isn't just a story about hoping and hopping on a plane and starting over. Robbie will share the real life experience of settling into a new country, from navigating Thailand's dating scene to managing finances on a different scale, learning the healthcare system, and finding a community. And yes, we'll dive into the questions that make people curious about the sex industry in Thailand, a scene that's both fascinating and complex. Robbie brings a thoughtful perspective on understanding the lines between genuine connection, and I want you guys to think about this for a moment. Genuine connection, companionship, and a well established sex industry in Thailand with a complicated history. For anyone who's ever wondered what it takes to make a drastic life change or is curious about the realities of starting over abroad, Robbie's insights might spark something in you. So, if you're over 45 and feeling like life could hold more, or you're just interested in a path that breaks from the tradition, you're in the right place. So let's get started. Robbie, thanks for coming on today. This is our first episode of Sex, and Sex explores the reality of sexuality and who we are as a culture. And today I really want to say thank you because I have so many questions for you. Myself as an entrepreneur and what it's like to feel crunched financially, and when we were talking about earlier. So, you know, for a lot of men over 45, when they find themselves in that restless or looking for something more fulfilling in life, that phase we call like the midlife crisis, I don't really believe in that. But for you, what was it for you? Was it a moment, a realization, or just a slow buildup that led you to consider leaving the US for Thailand?
Well, first off, Doctor, thank you so much for having me on your very first show. I
Yeah,
am
thank you.
honored to be here, and I'm very grateful for you and this show. So, again, thank you so much. So, coming to Thailand wasn't an easy feat, but was easy in a sense. I was ready for that change, going through my own version of a midlife crisis. And when I look back on it, I really don't see it as a crisis. But when I talk about, most people ask me, did you have some sort of midlife crisis that happened? And really, how it started is a divorce and being in the monotonous routine of things, going through day to day, working for corporate America, and then becoming an entrepreneur once again. And excuse me, having to show up every day to go to work, I was ready to get out of Dodge, let's say. So the divorce was definitely the catalyst of me looking for a new location in life, and being coached by a friend of mine saying, "Hey, man, I see that you're going through a divorce and your posts on social media are awful. Why don't you delete all that and come to Thailand?" So, and he said, "I'll meet you there." And I'm like, "Okay, tickets booked." I checked out some videos on YouTube, booked the ticket, and found new life abroad. And it was just going for a vacation. Kelly, I wasn't going to live here. That wasn't my goal. My goal was to just get out of the US for a little bit, go overseas, go around the world, a 20-hour or 24-hour transit from California to Bangkok. And yeah, starting my life here. And again, it was the divorce that kind of brought me here, and a friend. So,
So after divorce and years of running a business, I know that you're an entrepreneur
mhm,
because you and I
yeah,
got connected 9 years ago through the
yes.
entrepreneurial, sector of Silicon Valley. And
Mhm.
so a lot of guys, after running a business, let's say entrepreneurs themselves, they feel kind of stuck in this routine. I know. I walked
Yeah.
into a gym one time and I walked out because instead of seeing, fitness, I saw people just running aimlessly on a treadmill. I hit this point in my life where I was like, shit, I can't do this anymore. There's a lot of us that don't know how to take the next step. Was it hard to leave behind the familiar, or did it feel like the right time to completely start over?
When I was going through my vision casting or dream casting, or I was imagining being here, it seems super, super easy. There are some struggles, but leaving the familiar now with internet, and of course this video conference we're having now, where we're talking overseas right now, it wasn't as bad as I originally thought. I could talk to my 25-year-old son. I could talk to friends and family via voice, this message with the video. So it wasn't that bad. It was just adjusting to getting medical insurance, earning money, and stretching money. Because as an entrepreneur, you have some saved up, but at the time I was only 47 years old, and I'm like, I don't have a traditional retirement. So having to stretch that and save and alter was pretty much the hardest thing. Other than that, living abroad here in Thailand, where most people speak English, there's great medical care, and the food is second to none around the world, which I've traveled around the world to almost every continent. And here in Southeast Asia is by far the best. So, was it difficult? I think I made it difficult, and it's not as difficult as most guys or people like to think.
So, how did you know Thailand was the answer versus one of these other countries on the continents you visited?
So right after my divorce, I did travel. I went to Europe, and then I went to, I think, 6 different countries around Europe, kind of soul searching, spending some money. Of course, Europe is very expensive. Then I hopped on a plane and went to Peru and Colombia, hung out over there, and fearful of my life every time I walked out the door. And then I came to Thailand after my buddy said, "Hey, you need to check out Asia. You probably love it. It's easy, it's clean, super clean." And I always thought of Thailand, like most people, as a third world country. I was thinking it's going to be dirty and homeless people, but okay, I'll show up. And again, he had me view some videos, and on those videos were beautiful women who are just begging to be with American guys. So I'm like, okay, what do I got to lose coming here? So booked a cheap flight on economy, and you know flew my butt over here. And yeah, compared to the other countries, I tell people travel other countries first, because Thailand's going to ruin all those other countries for you. So you go to Thailand first, forget the other countries. And I love Spain, but not as much as I like Thailand.
So, after years building your business, how did you, move that business? I understand that you had like at some point like 15 employees,
Yeah.
and you were in the most expensive state in the United States, California. So,
Yes.
are you saving money as an entrepreneur living over there? Can you tell us about the process of what it was like to scale back and then move from having this business to having now a business in Thailand?
Yeah. So part of it was a forced scale back, meaning we went through COVID. All the businesses, everybody was hurting to some degree. My business happened to do okay, but it was still the fear of people aren't spending money. So as a digital marketer, I don't only do digital marketing, but I do app development. The kind of work I personally do, I can do anywhere around the world. However, having 15 people in California under payroll who needed a manager. And I figured out real quick, guys, I'm not a great manager. That's just not my thing. I'm a business owner. I like economics. I like running a business. That's something I enjoy doing. But when it comes to dealing with all the different personalities and people, that's pretty not my thing. And so when it came to moving over here, kind of COVID pushed that along. So I went to Thailand in 2019, my first trip for 2.5 weeks, stayed 2.5 months, and kind of figured out I wanted to be here. And so that's kind of when it started. And then COVID hit right when I got back. Literally 2 weeks later, COVID was in America when I got back, and we were essentially on lockdown. So I was able to take advantage of the government handouts, I'd say, which I think everybody should. If it's there, do it. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, do it. And I was able to survive the next transition, which was releasing employees and then changing them over to some international employees. And I still keep some of my American people, but switching over to using Philippine help and Thailand. So moving over here wasn't super difficult because of the kind of work I do. Being a digital marketer, I can supervise, I can let them have the freedom, and it was much cheaper or less expensive. I mean, the wages in California, uh, honestly, to find good help at the price.
So, how much money do you think you're saving compared to, let's say, a day in the life of someone that's living in the United States? Let's say in the state of California, how much money do you think you're saving compared to um, the times in which you lived here in the United States versus Thailand? Just a day in a life. Oh man. Oh, I think we're still live, but we got a frozen connection with Robbie, and it's not us. Oh, we need to call him back. Okay, hi guys. I think we're live. So I'm just gonna say hi. Hope everyone's having a really great evening. We're just gonna give our amigo a call back here, get him online. And it looks like we're doing. My producer says we're. Oh, hello, beautiful. Can you hear
There we
us?
are.
Can you hear us? So,
Yep.
so like, let's just do like a basic comparison here. Like, I know I spend like $200 a day. It sounds kind of crazy. That's how much I spend in a day, and I'm not one of these like shopaholics. Okay, like that's just because I choose to eat at places like Whole Foods and like go out to dinner and like my gas, and I live in San Francisco. So, how much in a single day are you spending?
Gosh, I would say average less than $30, and I dine out at least every day and sometimes twice a day because it's cheaper to dine out than to cook at home. A lot cheaper. So in the weekends, I'll spend more, but during the week, I eat a lot of Thai food, and so it's
Okay.
very inexpensive. My daily expense, I would say, is about $30 or less.
Oh
So
wow. That's amazing.
yeah.
Okay. So let's get to like the hot questions like every guy asks me. Let's get into the dating world for a moment. Cause a lot of people move to Thailand. They move to Asia for the sex trade. And what was it like to go and be able to decipher between dating like girls who are interested, like genuinely interested in you versus sex workers. What was that like? What was it like to like really navigate that scene as you're coming from the United States, what like 3, 4 years ago to Thailand? And what was like the beginning stages like for you?
Yeah, great question. And that is the most common question I get, or one of the most,
Right.
is, well, the females find me attractive. And a 50-year-old guy, am I going to be attractive? So in 2019, when I first got here, I was not even interested in dating. I just wanted to see how many girls can I pick up on and score, and do they find me attractive if I'm going out? And it was completely different mentality for me because I just wasn't sure. Lack of confidence, I would say, was the biggest part. And getting here, I was pleasantly surprised that girl. I would sit at a bar, a beachfront bar, and just sit there and have a beer. And a girl would come up to me at the Connect Four game. It's just one of those checker type games, and said, "Do you want to play Connect Four?" And I'm like, "Okay." And she didn't speak a lick of English. And 3 hours later, we're still playing Connect Four. I mean, I know that sounds goofy, but that is very commonplace here, where you're playing these senseless games, having a beer or two, and that's kind of how it started for me. And when I came back for my second trip after 2019, 2.5 months of just letting it all loose and partying, come back during COVID. And yep, I had to get the jab, by the way. But I came back and wanted to meet real people who wanted to know who I am and my background. And I wanted to know theirs. I really was into the whole Thai culture. And I went on the regular dating apps like Tinder, and they have Bumble, and they have Thai Friendly, all the different dating apps, just like they have in America here. They're viewed a little differently. And then I was in Bangkok and met my beautiful girlfriend now, Kitty. And yes, that is her real name. Um, and met her, and she was a worker at it's called Siam Paragon, which is a very high end mall that has Louis Vuitton and all those big high end stores. And I told her, I put on my profile, "I'll teach you English if you teach me Thai." So, because she couldn't speak much English, and so we started communicating for several months before I met her physically. So the dating life is very similar to where it was in America, except the entitlements are a little different. Um, it's it's easier here. Girls will ask you out. I've gone to a bar, or heck, I was at a store, and the girl says, "Hey, I would love to have your line ID." Line ID is the same thing as Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, but in Thailand, it's line ID. So I'm like, okay. And then you go on dates, the exact same way you do in America, and you get to know each other. Dating life here is a little wilder. There's a lot more things to do, different types of shows and entertainment. But yeah, it's similar to America in a sense that you go to dinner or you see
Okay,
a
can
movie.
you
We'll
can
see a
you
movie. Yeah.
what about can we go into what are the differences in entitlements? And then we'll go into the shows. I really want to know what's happening in these shows. But what's the difference in the entitlements of American women versus Thai women?
Well, it's definitely culturally, and it's definitely gonna be a culture shock for any man or any female who comes here. The culture is way different. So, example, my girlfriend, she came from what they call a Thai village, and they're set into classes, and classes that can't move up or down. So, in other words, if you're born poor, the expectation is you're always going to be poor. And that is a cultural thing. And I've had many conversations with my Thai girlfriend saying, "Hey, well, you can have whatever you want." She goes, "No, that's made for high so people, for rich people." And over here, as an American coming to Thailand with my income, and it's not huge, I'm considered rich here. So we pretty much can afford anything, but she won't spend the money. So it's a different culture when it comes to who you date here. So if I was to date a high so girl, which is a rich person, she'll take me out. She'll buy the food. She'll do everything. If she asks me, it's on her dime, and there's no questions asked. And in Kitty's regard, it's kind of like we'll go wherever you want to go, and we'll go have Thai food and street food, which is literally under $1 on most cases, to go on a date for under $1. It's unheard of. It's kind of like what is it? The special menu at McDonald's, the dollar menu that no longer exists. But here, she's like happy with it. She's like excited about it. So that's a huge difference. Where when I was dating in America, I was shocked how many times, hey, where are we going? And I like nice places. There's nothing wrong with going to the dollar menu place, but on a first date, there's probably something wrong with that. The expectation was, hey, we're going to go to a nice sit down restaurant and have good communication, maybe go to the beach, and then pursue from there. Over here, it's let's go to 7-Eleven and then walk on the beach. And it's crazy the mentality here.
Yeah,
So it is quite a bit different.
we have something called the hoe economy.
Yes.
This sounds really kind of condescending to women, but the OnlyFans economy that is currently
Yeah.
happening, where women think that men need to perform at 200, 300,000 a year just to take them out on a date. So like
Yes.
the Instagram models and stuff like that, the young generation's just unfortunately screwed because of
And they
their
need to be six
perceptions
foot
of
two.
entitlement. And then also the young perception of entitlement too with men, because sex has been so widely available through pornography that they don't even want to pay the content creators because it should be free to them. So, so this like delusional thing that's happening, right? And so it's really interesting when you tell me that the perception, like the I would say like the monetary perception that they have is more realistic, because if you look at the salary, it's about 50 to 70,000 is what American men make. That's the generalized salary. That's someone
Yeah.
with an education, you know?
You'd be
And
rich here with that
you'd
salary.
be rich, and you wouldn't have women expecting you or berating you or treating you like you're a simp because you have a bachelor's degree, you went to school to be a civil engineer, and you're only making 60, 70,000 a year, and you're supposed to buy a McMansion and have the 3 kids and live this American dream that's not working, you know? And then you end up
Yeah.
disenfranchised at 45 and, divorced. Now you're paying alimony. Now you're paying child support. And you don't even get to see your kids. That's one
Yeah.
out of 3 people here in the United States. That's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. You're giving them a solution. So my other question to you is, if we're moving more, let's move into, because a lot of us end up sexless once we get into those routines and roles where we buy into this American dream. So once we get to Thailand and we're just like, whoa, there's all this sex work, and we were talking about the historical nature of sex work in
Yeah.
Thailand earlier. Can you explain a little bit of that to people who are watching?
Yeah. So Thailand is known to be the red light district capital of the world. There's no hiding that. You can go to Google, you can type it in. Sure, you'll see places like Turkey and Japan, but Thailand is known as the tourist place to go have sex. And a lot of people call people like me sex packs. And I'm not offended by it. It's just their perception. You only know what you know. And so here the industry is big. And then where I live specifically, I live in the Pattaya region of Thailand, which is the largest area of that demographic. But it it wasn't designed to be for tourism. That wasn't the case originally. Prostitution, which is the oldest job ever, or whatever you call it, is oldest career, I guess, has been around well before Americans started coming to Thailand. And I asked a lot of these questions to other expats here and historians. So over my time here, I can answer questions like this. I mean, it started well before World War II when we started building bases here locally. So we have a base close to me where I live here in Jomtien, in which that developed into, as a stopover for the war. And people would come to Pattaya for their R&R and want to party at bars and clubs and all that kind of stuff. And that's where that sex tourism started. Whereas the sex industry really started well before that, where the men and women would go to work in their fields or, in their villages, lots of villages here. And once harvest was done, the men would have to go off to work into the city. And so that started the whole sexual revolution here where it's designed for the men who they're married with kids and have a village home coming to the city and they're going to go out. So better be a transactional thing than a relational thing where now you're divorced here in Thailand. And Thailand is not a fan of divorces. That's not their thing here. So that's kind of how it started. And sex tourism is a big deal here. Um, that's part of the allure to lure people in. Single guys, big guys like myself. I mean, I'm not a small guy, but I'm not 6'4". I'm 5'10" and normal dude. And I come here and I'm treated like a king.
So let's talk a little
So
bit more about like when you show up. Let's say you get off the plane and you're interested in partaking in some of the fun exercises.
uh,
Like what can you find? What can you find in Thailand? Is it just Thai girls or is it women from all over the world who partake in the sex industry there?
I was very surprised. I got off the plane literally at 1 a.m. in Bangkok, got in a taxi cab, had to drive a 2-hour drive into Pattaya, and you're amped up. And I'm with another buddy of mine who went through a divorce, same thing. And we're like, forget sleeping. It's 3 in the morning. We ended up walking outside our hotel room, and there's 4 bars. And the names of these bars are freaking hilarious. And I can tell you the names of them if you want. But we walk into one and we meet a guy who we nicknamed him Six Pack because he had a 6-pack tattoo on his abdomen, totally in his body. And he's there with 3 of the hottest girls I could have swore they're 20 years old, but when you get to know them and talk to them, 3 smoking hot girls and this normal goofy dude with a ugly tattoo. And that's how it started. And then later on that evening or morning, now we're at like 5 in the morning, and there's Russian bars, and we couldn't believe the amount of Russian bars and here in Thailand. I mean, a lot of them. And the girls aren't just hanging out, waving, or anything like that. The Russian clubs are quite a bit different than the Thai ones. Uh, Moulin Rouge is here. That's a huge chain of clubs and houses, brothel houses, I guess. Now, keep in mind, prostitution and sex work is illegal here in Thailand.
Oh, I didn't
So,
know that. I didn't know
yes,
prostitution was illegal. So how do they get around that?
it's the people listening might laugh over this. Well, they just did a sting recently here on Walking Street. Walking Street is go-go after go-go, and we're talking naked girls with numbers, and you pick a number and you take the girl home essentially, or whatever. You take them on a date or however that may be. So they did a sting here where they're rating all of these go-go's and bars, and Thailand was so happy to report that they didn't find one case of prostitution here. So
Oh,
that's
so
yeah, it is
okay,
illegal here.
I see what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
They make so much money off the trade. Why would they shut it down?
Well, and Americans and tourists bring a lot of money. I mean, you mentioned the 60, $70,000 a year job. Well, you bring that here in Thailand, you are now the upper of the upper class. You are in a 5-star condo. I mean, I'm beachfront at a condo, uh, and you have
How much are you
money.
paying for your condo? That's beachfront.
Yeah, I'm beachfront, and I pay about $310, including utilities, a month.
Okay.
So yeah, and then
$310.
behind me you can see that's kind of what my condo is. This isn't my condo, but this is the same kind of room I have. So yeah, $300,
And now we're
and
all
you can
jealous.
yeah. And I walk out, and well, today it's about 82 degrees. It's nice today, and so I'll walk out and I'll be in the water and a dozen steps or so, or at a restaurant the other way, or whatever. It's very inexpensive to live here, and
What about the
yeah.
safety? The safety of where you live. Is it safe?
I I traveled all over the world, and when it came time to picking where I wanted to be, when I knew I wanted to leave the States, I'm like, Thailand's amazing. But I didn't want to say I was coming to Thailand, even though I knew in my heart Thailand was the place. I took a couple extra trips into the Philippines and Taiwan. And man, in the Philippines, everybody carries a gun. I mean, the police officers have guns at 7-Eleven, and it's crazy. Here in Thailand, there's not one time ever that I felt unsafe. And I would, other than the street dogs, other than a dog who might find you as a threat or something like that. But I've walked down several dark alleys and streets and roads, and after partying and being somewhat intoxicated, and never have I felt unsafe here or have been mugged, or you don't read about it, you don't hear about it. Every once in a while, you'll get a report of two expats, not Thai people, beating up on each other because they're drunk. But other than that, that it is the safest, and you can Google that. It's one of the safest countries in the world, and due to it's a Buddhist culture. So
So
again,
there's no sex worker scams or anything like that that we see here in
I'm
the
sure
United
there are
States.
scams. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure there are scams. When my buddy came with me, he prefers the Russian and the Ukrainian girls here. That was his thing. He wanted to conquer or whatever it was, as many as he could. And he was paying for it. So, and he paid quite a bit more than he would for any other nationality. So I don't know if that's a
How
scam,
much is
but
that? How much is it in USD? Like the Russian girls, the Ukrainian girls compared to the Thai girls? What did he say?
so it's all based on age categories, and then they look pretty. And I will say California 10, which is drop dead gorgeous, beautiful. Um, 3,000 baht, which is essentially $100, which is pennies. And then the Russian girls would be 3 to 4 or even 5 times that. So, and they won't be tens, but they'll be close.
Okay.
So, but I have a thing for, I like the Thai girls. They're
So so
beautiful.
so the brothels in outside of Las Vegas, I had the pleasure. I'm
Hmm.
actually friends with an owner of one of them, and I got the pleasure of actually going in there and seeing how guys actually select women. They all line up, you
Uh-huh.
know. And is that the same kind of process that you're seeing in the clubs? Like, how do they get away with that if it's illegal in Thailand? Do they do the lineups and stuff?
Well, interesting you should ask. So they get away with it by calling it something else. So they have what they call soapy massages. And again, everything you can Google. So everything I'm telling you, you can Google. People can go on after the show and take a look. Go for it. They have soapy massages, and a soapy massage is a nice hotel. And literally, you as the customer, guy, I walked in with my buddy, actually a couple of buddies of mine, because I'd never been to one. We walk in, and you're in the middle, very nice, decorated, dark lounge with pretty expensive drinks for Thailand, alcohol. People come up in tuxedos, and then along the wall of these soapies are hundreds, if not thousands, of girls in different category zones. And you're given a price list from the butler person in the tuxedo. And if you want a massage, what they call a soapy massage, you can get one based on the quality of girl, and then you pay accordingly to that zone the girls are in. And you go upstairs, you get a bubble bath, they put you on a rubber mattress, oil everything up, and then they wash you off, and there you go. They don't call it, sex or anything like that, but it is what that is. So, and then there's different types of different massages and techniques, like Japan. Trying to remember the name of the Japan style. They have that also here. Uh, and then most bars and clubs, again, they have numbers, and you buy the girl a drink. She sits with you. And then, if you go out, if you take her out of the bar, you pay a bar fine to take her out for either the night or for overnight, wherever, as long as you want. You got to pay the bar and you pay the girl. That's essentially how it works.
Okay.
So,
I had a
yep.
friend that went to Thailand, and I don't know if this is true or not, but he went to Thailand about 30 years ago, and he's sitting in the bar, and he sees this woman come down in a basket, and
Yes.
and she rotates on the guy's cock. You know, like all these intense sexual, like if you could think about it, artistic. And he said he spit his beer back into the bottle and like just stood there, blank stare. Is this stuff really happening? Is this really happening? Are there actual places where this erotic, intense kink is happening?
It's funny you should say the word kink because that is the name of the bar that he's probably talking about. But there are several bars like that, and there's a handful of them. And yeah, they come down in a basket, and there'll be multiple girls in this basket. I mean, half dozen of them, and all doing the sexual lesbian or sexual whatever poses. And then they kind of step out of the basket. And if you're sitting amongst the table, you're getting your, lap dance right there, your whatever, and you buy them a drink and they're completely naked. And it's so crazy. And it can be a lot of fun for sure, but a lot of guys are intimidated by that because if you don't expect it, you're just going to be, what the hell am I looking at? And when guys go over here for the first time and they're going through a divorce and they say, hey, man, will you take me around? And I have no problem taking them around. And we go to a couple of these places and they leave just dumbfounded, like, I can't believe this is true, what they're experiencing. So, yes, that does happen. And the girls are paid very well. The guys tip crazy. Uh, me, I don't drink alcohol. I drink very, 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 very little. So I drink a soda pop and they're pounding beers and all that stuff. And it's very entertaining to watch the looks on their faces just because I've seen it so many times before. So yeah.
So interesting. So let's go back a little bit. And so when you, let's say, like you air out your, after years of having a sexless marriage or just
Yeah.
feeling like inadequate as a human being because of social media telling you how you should do your shit, how you should look, diet
Yeah.
culture of the United States, and you get to Thailand and you get to experience all this intense stuff. Are there any kind of like warnings you want to give people, something to help them actually see true Thailand, get girlfriends, be true to themselves? Like, what would be the underlying thing that you would tell every man that's coming to Thailand to expat out?
If they're really coming to expat out, a lot of us guys call it, you need to get the patia out of your system. Meaning because this is Pattaya City has this everywhere. It isn't just one bar and there's three bars next to each other. There's a street called Soy Six. Soy Six, and type it in Google or YouTube, you guys, you will be just shocked. It is 88 bars next to each other on both sides of the street with the girls outside the bar pulling you in, all different shapes, sizes, whatever. And it doesn't matter if you're a good looking guy or an ugly guy. Example, we took a buddy of mine, and I'll just mention him by name. His name is Cameron. He's in great shape. Dude has six-pack abs. He's just now turning 50. And here we are going, okay, well, you think you're special because you look great. He's a good-looking dude, right? Any American girl, and dude's a firefighter, makes lots of money. He's getting liquored up, and we're sitting at the table. Girls come to our table, and they're beautiful women. And he lifts up his shirt and says, look what I bring to the table. The girls looked at him and literally walked away from him. And we haven't let him live it down since. It's completely hilarious. It's funny, but there's so much of it here. You have to get out of your system before you start dating. When I came in 2019, I was drinking every meal, every moment, and partying big time. There isn't a drug atmosphere here like there is in the States, so there isn't that fear. But the drinking and the girls, you spend a lot of money. So you have to get it out of your system. And I would advise every single guy, get out of your system so you don't desire to go back. I have no desire to go into Pattaya other than I bring friends there, and it's funny. It's good times. I have a good times watching their reaction. There's a website, pattayamonger.com. Go to that website, look at the videos. you can see what's going on here in Thailand. You'll see the girls, you'll see the guys, you'll get to pick a bar. You'll see how many bars are here. You go to that website, it helps you out quite a bit. So the last piece is before I came, I really looked at YouTube a lot to see what I was getting involved with because I want to be prepared since I'm really not a big drinker. I'm going through my divorce. Woe is me. No one loves me. I'm watching these YouTube videos going, this isn't true. But I live vicariously through those videos for the in between time when I'm not here. I actually still watch them. When I go back to the States, I watch YouTube videos. So realistically, get Patty out of your system. And if you want to meet a good girl, they're here. The good, beautiful women are here and they like English speaking men. They find us super smart, even though sometimes we're not. And yeah, and we have money. I mean, if we're here, if we're traveling to Thailand, they're assuming you have money. And, you know, farm girls don't have anything. They really don't.
So let's
Money
talk
comes to
about
money.
some of the like the fears that people have, which is like one healthcare. Like they get over there,
Yeah.
they get a beautiful apartment on the beach, but all of a sudden, they got heart issues. What is healthcare like over there?
Healthcare, and I've had some experience with it because one of my challenges was as turning 50, an entrepreneur, my insurance in the States was crazy expensive. It was actually just now increasing to $1,200 a month. As an entrepreneur, that's not uncommon. That's very common. When you hit 50, and for females, it's even a little bit more. And coming here, I'm thinking, man, I got to have good health care wherever I go because you're just going to get older. So here, healthcare is very inexpensive. I pay now $150 a month for the same coverage I would have in America for 12, actually for better coverage. I did have a hospital scare. I've had a couple where I had to go to the ER. The ER here is amazing. Most of them are American trained doctors and nurses. They go to America, get an education, and they come back here and practice that. And you might have heard of cosmetic surgery here is a big deal. Surgery, tourism, medical tourism is such a big thing here. It's a huge part of the economy. Well, that all translates to regular hospitalization and cancer care and heart care. And they have all the different procedures. And example, getting a CT scan, it's $100 here. And you get it that day. If I could walk into it and say, hey, I just want a CT scan to see what my issues are. If I know how to read it, great, but they'll read it for you right there. And I literally walk in, get my appointment that same day. They get in the robe and you take your scan. And then once you're done and you meet with the doctor and you pay your $120 and you're done. So medical here, I prefer it. Very much so. The hardest part is the translation. That can be difficult at times, not with the doctors, but with bringing over your history. So if you have a history of diabetes or any of that kind of stuff, they're going to want to retest you. But isn't that the case wherever you're at, going to a new hospital? So, and here it's inexpensive. So a health checkup real quick for people over the age of 50. Health checkup is everything. That's the CT scans, the X-rays, all the lipid tests, all the cancer tests, everything you need is about $300 and it lasts the whole day. But you get all those things done. And I do it once a year living here to make sure I'm healthy.
Beautiful.
So
Can
yeah.
you like list out the steps like 1 through 5 of what people need to do in order to even expat out? Like what would be the first couple
Yeah.
steps that they can take today?
A couple of steps they would take today is come to Thailand as a tourist. Right now, when you come to Thailand, you don't need a special visa. All you need is a passport. Get on a plane, book a round trip ticket. This is the thing that most men fail to do is come in the first place. Come here on your first trip. You get 60 days. So make sure it's a round trip ticket where immigration sees that you're going back home. So come here, whether it's 2.5 weeks or the full 60, I recommend at least 30 days to really get a good idea. Come. And then if you like it after 30 days, which if you have any story like mine where you've gone through divorce, maybe you're living off Social Security or whatever, which is enough money, by the way. I'm sure that's a question for later. But come here, check it out. If it's something that you're like, wow, this is amazing, take the next 30 days and start the process of getting your visa. Getting a visa is as easy as hiring an agent, finding people like me to help you out. I don't charge any money, by the way, to help people out. I just say, go to this agent. I don't get any kickbacks or anything. I spent about $900 on my first 15-month visa. And every year I renew it for about 300 or 400 bucks. And I get unlimited in and out, meaning I can come, I travel around all Southeast Asia and I don't get questions asked. They just stamp my passport, I'm in. So that would be the step one is come to Patty in the first place. Step two, see if you like it and make sure you have a good valid passport. And then step three, go home with that plan. Have a plan to downsize. To me, I've used a 5-year plan. I still go back to America. So I'm here only 6 months a year. And next year is my last year coming back to America, as I will be bringing my Thai girlfriend with me, visiting friends and family, and that will be a lot of fun. That's a tough challenge, by the way, to bring a Thai girl over. So don't expect to come to Thailand, find a Thai girl you want to be with, and keep them in the United States. It doesn't work that way. They don't want to be over there. They want to visit and they want to live here, and you'll want to live here too. So, anyways, yeah, if you want to live here, get your visa, use an agent. Getting a driver's license is not difficult if you already have one. Driving a scooter, which I drive, and a car, it's not that difficult.
So you said that a person on Social Security can actually afford living
Mhm.
there.
That's correct. Easily. So Social Security, I believe it's right around 2,000, maybe $3,000 in between those price ranges, depending how early you take it and how late. My cost of living for what I do, which I live beachfront, I have a car, a scooter, I have an office, and I take care of my Thai girlfriend. She doesn't work. I put her in school leaving to learn English so we can communicate better. And my budget is $2,500 USD a month. And I'm under that budget every single month, and I go out to eat all the time. So when you do the math, $2,500, does your Social Security meet that? And mine, as time keeps going and you're here, it does get a little cheaper. You're figuring out different things about your visa and health insurance. So the price does go down because you're doing things smarter and not harder, of course. And so yeah, my cost of living, which on my YouTube channel, I have a couple of videos where one of my buddies lives on $1,000 a month, and he lives in the same building I do. So, but he doesn't drink. He doesn't like to go out. He just sits home and watches TV and lives like on $1,000 budget. And he's here right now. It's pretty awesome.
That's really cool.
So
That's really
yeah, it
cool.
can be done. Yeah.
So how do you
So,
choose the right area to live in? Like when they're coming out as tourists, where should they go
mhm.
to actually check out the location of these apartments or condos? What would be some of the best areas for them?
Well, man, Kelly, that's a great question because a lot of people fail to go outside of Pattaya. Again, get Pattaya out of your system. Spend 2 weeks, go crazy, go nuts, do what you got to do, and then go explore out. So for myself, I lived in California my whole life. I wasn't somebody who moved around. I lived in Pismo Beach for 25 years, and then I lived in SoCal for 25 years. So for me, I like knowing my neighborhood, knowing my area, but I love the beach. So I live on the coast here in the Bay of Thailand, which is like an ocean. It's huge. And so for me, it wasn't too difficult. I'm right outside of Pattaya, but I recommend people travel around Thailand. Thailand's the same size as Texas. It isn't huge, but it's big with I think about 35 million people here or something like that. Going to Chiang Mai, which is a mountain region. So if you like the mountains and a little bit cooler weather, going up there, visiting up there, again, visit Pattaya first because people will talk about it, get it out of you. Chiang Mai has its own, climate, its own system with great medical care, or you can go to the islands. The islands here are absolutely gorgeous and super, super, super inexpensive. The same price I pay here, $2,500 budget, I could have on an island such as Koh Samui. And I love to scuba dive. So I became scuba dive certified a couple of years ago while living here at the age of 50. And I scuba at least once a year. So living there, same budget, I tell people explore. For me, I will probably live in Patti because I have a little business here I run. And eventually I'll move to Chiang Mai where it's quieter, it's smaller, and more culturally sound. It's more Chinese Thai, which I prefer for sure.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Now, you have been an entrepreneur for a very long time, and you currently have a
Yeah,
YouTube channel actually showing people different parts and lifestyles of
yes.
Thailand. What's the name of your podcast or your
Well,
YouTube channel?
so yeah, I have a YouTube channel called Walking in My Shoes Thailand. Picture just like me. It's myself and my girlfriend. So it's Walking in My Shoes Thailand. And we post content once to a couple of times a week about the lifestyle here in Thailand, from the bar and party scene all the way to dating and meeting a beautiful Thai girl to going to different countries in the Southeast Asian area. So I got a series of Taiwan videos that I filmed just this past year, up to Singapore videos, if you want to travel Singapore. But most of them are Thailand culturally centered. I also got a couple of videos on there for you guys. And this is really kind of cool, is meeting my girlfriend's family who lives in a village, and it's a completely different lifestyle. Amazing. They let me video the village and doing a service over there. They do these ritual Buddhist cultural rituals. So yeah, it's Walking in My Shoes, Thailand, and it comes right up. And please like, subscribe, check it out, leave a comment.
Beautiful.
So
And
that's my jingle.
you also have a new new business that's up that
Mhm.
is here in the United States. Do you mind sharing that with
Correct.
us, what you're doing? And we'll put a link under as well so they can go ahead and get it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm running actually the business out of uh, Thailand and Australia, and you can get it in the United States. It's called discounttvusa.com. Check that out. It's where you can get sports events, Netflix movies, all sorts of different stuff through an app on Amazon or on hopefully Google Play. We're waiting for that approval right now. But if you go to Discount TV USA, you can find out how to watch all your sporting events from anywhere around the world. So that's the idea. It's an international TV service where you pay one fee. You're not paying crazy amounts of money for the same stuff that you would pay in the US. It just happens to work there too. So great. It works everywhere. And it's like 20 bucks a month. And it's crazy good service. I watched all the World Series baseball games, any football game. Um, of course, I'm watching it early morning, like 6 in the morning. I'm up watching football, but it's okay. And I can watch pre-recorded stuff and then any movies. So yeah, discounttvusa.com. The site is live. You do have to have a code to purchase. So you can simply type in, and Kelly, I don't have a code for you yet, but we need to do that.
Yeah, we'll
We
definitely
need to
put a
get one for you.
code up there for you. And let me just
Yeah.
emphasize this one more time. This is something that kind
Mhm.
of you spend 2,500 a month, and you have a beachfront condo, a girlfriend
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
support. You have an office, and you're an entrepreneur, and you're basically doing this all on your own. And how much were you spending in California, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind you asking. I was spending about $10,000 a month for exactly what I have here. And it
10,000.
was 10,000. And I did have a beach view from where I lived. But I was in a high rent area. The place wasn't any better. It was a beach view from a bathroom window, which is hilarious that they call it a beach view, but whatever. I would walk down to the beach every day, and it was a 900 square foot apartment. It was beautiful. I loved it. But at $3,800 a month, I will stick to the $300 a month here. and auto insurance, all that stuff is inexpensive here. So I was spending about $10,000 a month living in Pismo Beach.
So you're,
So, but I made good money there. So, but it was spent on utilities and bills, and
yeah,
I mean, water bill was two hundred
the
and eighty
American
dollars.
dream. It's the American dream.
Yeah, and you're taxed like crazy.
And you're
So,
sexless, and it's the American dream, and you just $10,000 every month, you know?
yeah, and you're sexless. And
So,
exactly, come here, it's 40
what about for
bucks.
women, real quick? We got like 3 minutes left. What about for
Yeah.
women? Can we also have this lifestyle in Thailand?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, come. Women come. Actually, two of my very good friends are women who live here. They're in their 60s. One of them, their husband died. The other one, they went through a divorce. They come here. I met them at a restaurant, and we're hanging out and chit chatting, and they're having the time with them. And they live in the same building I live in, and it's amazing to have that community. So the building I live in has a lot of American expats, as well as some German, a few Russian. Everybody speaks English here, and we have a huge swimming pool, so we get to hang out. It's almost like I haven't left the States, other than I'm glad I did. And I love my country. I love where I was born, love my life in the United States. But women, please come. Doing Patia will be a little different for you, I'm sure. There's so many things you can do here. LGBTQ or whatever it is, come here. It's awesome. The community here is amazing for that community. Amazing. You love it. So I say
Beautiful.
women, doesn't matter who you are.
Thank you
Go
so
ahead.
much, Robbie, for coming on Sex, being our first interviewee. And again, I just want to make sure everyone has that URL. Can you give us the URL again to get the television?
It's called discounttvusa.com.
Discount
Discount TV USA.
discounttvusa.com, guys. Go
Yep.
there.
And yep. And you can find me on YouTube, Walking in My Shoes Thailand YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, Robbie, for coming on the
Thank
show.
you
I
for
hope you have
having
a good
me.
night. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Have a great night, Robbie.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Are we offline?